In this section, we're going to look at modifying a civil cell after it has been placed. In previous video, we placed an entrance out here with a curb. Civil cell is actually made up of several different elements. If you highlight or just move your mouse over the top of it, one of the items that it allows inside of the civil cell is a driveway surface. So there's a surface actually created in here that can be used at any point for whatever you want to use it for. There's edges of pavement, there's the edge of the curb, the top and the back of the curb that are created in there. There's also an end condition that is placed out here, and you can see our end conditions over here in the 3D view. They don't quite look exactly like we would like them to look, so we can modify those, and I'll show you how to do that here in just a little bit. You can modify the width, you can modify the length of this thing. It's just a default cell, so this is the default size, and right now we're looking at a 40-foot wide entrance, 50-foot deep. Okay, and we can change any of that we want to. It's also based on a profile, so whatever the profile of this driveway center line is, that's the profile that it's going to use for the civil cell. Along the front edge of it is the edge of pavement for the corridor for Road 1, or our main line road. Okay, so it's going to try and follow that all the way through the civil cell. So let's modify a few things about this driveway civil cell. First thing we can modify is perhaps the distance that this goes. Right now, if you select the center line of our entrance, it says that it's 50 feet. Okay, you can either change it here where it says 50, or you can give it a new station. You can click on that station. Let's say that it needs to go to 1 plus 50 instead. We'll just change it right there, hit the enter key, and we'll wait for it for a second or two, and you'll notice in the 3D view, it'll go ahead and extend it out to 1 plus 50. So if I look here now in this view, you can see that it extends out. Another thing you'll notice, it looks like there's a little dip right here in my civil cell. Okay, what that probably means is that my profile also has that same dip in it. So let's take a look at the profile for that particular line. So right now I have my profile brought up in window 8. All you'd have to do is select that center line for the roadway for your entrance, and then go to the profile view and look at that. As you can see, we do have this line that goes down and dips across. So our profile doesn't look that great, and it shows up in our 3D view that way. So what we can do is just go in here, and this is the active profile, the top one. So I can select that. Then I can just modify that if I want to. Slide that up to an appropriate location. Left click to place that, and if you look at your right window in the 3D view, you will see that it will go ahead and update to that new profile. Now it looks a lot better. We don't have a big dip in our roadway, and it follows this profile quite nicely. Okay, so you can modify all kinds of different things. You modify the profile, you automatically modify the 3D view and the civil cell in 2D. Okay, the other things that we can modify, if I left click on the edge of pavement, right now, like I said, it's a 40-foot wide entrance, so it's 20 foot per side. So we can change each side individually. So let's say the right lane needs to be 12 foot. I highlight that 20 in the middle, key in 12 and enter, and we'll wait for it for a second, and it will modify it in the 2D drawing on the left hand side, and it will also modify it in my 3D view on the right. So you can see it went from 20 foot down to 12 foot. Same thing for the other side. I can click on that. Some of the other things that are changeable in here would be the radius that we have there. So we can change that radius if we want to. Let's say that needed to be a 20-foot radius in there. We can do that. So you can increase the size and decrease the size as long as it can calculate and create that. So I made that 20 foot, made that smaller there. The other side, I can come back. I have basically the same options. I have that 30 foot. Let's try to make that a 40 foot. So I key in 40 and hit enter. And we'll go out there and expand that side out and make it a 40-foot entrance on that side. Okay, so now this is what my 3D view looks like. This is what my 2D view looks like. You notice that the end conditions don't quite match up. They're not too bad here on the right side, but on the left side they can use quite a bit of work. So what we can do is we can do what's called target aliasing for this civil cell. So as you can see, the civil cell is a lot like all the other civil elements. You can do a lot of the same tools that you can do with any other element. But one of the things is target aliasing. If you haven't looked at that before, what target aliasing does is allows you to take an end condition and have it look for or search out other end conditions or existing grounds or other surfaces that are in your particular drawing. So we're going to do that. We're going to do it on the left hand side over here. It says locate the corridor that you want to have it look for other items. So corridors are created on both sides of my civil cell because there's actually a template, a linear template applied to each side, and that's how we get our curve in here and our end conditions placed. So what I'm going to do is just going to select with the left mouse button, locate the corridor. I'm going to click on it, and these are the things that we can look for from that corridor. So I want my end condition to go out and search for a particular item, go to it, and then stop. Well, the main line road line here is road 1. So I'm going to say I want you to look for road 1, add that in, and then I also want you to look for the existing ground and add that in. So the order here does matter. It's going to look for whatever's at the top first and then go down. So it's going to look for the corridor for road 1. As long as it sees it, it's going to go and draw to that. Once it no longer sees that in a location, it's going to look for my existing surface. Okay, so I'll go ahead and say OK to that. And you'll notice here on the left hand side that end condition is going to come in and it's going to try to match those surfaces, and then it kind of heals itself up over here in the left hand window. You can do the same thing to the other side. Click on that, add road 1, add the terrain model, click OK to that, and then the right hand side will do the same thing. It was already going to both of those, so that side was probably okay. But if I go modifying these and changing these around, it will now always look at those two locations and always try to solve at that spot. Okay, and that is how you go and modify an existing civil cell that has been placed.